Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Book Report. One of my favorite genres for entertainment reading is science fiction. In fact, that's the case with many people. Not just reading books about science fiction, which is probably the best way to get it, because the special effects far exceed anything Hollywood could ever afford. But, of course, movies, and there is, of course, television, at least what television used to be. And you can't talk about science fiction on television or in the movies or even in books without talking about Star Trek. Now, sadly, in recent years, Star Trek has become so politically correct and off the edge that it's really turned off an awful lot of fans, including myself. When I was a boy, I loved the show. Its optimism, its well-written storylines. Back when there wasn't much money to put into television, they had to emphasize quality writing. Imagine that. Believable storylines. And of course, given what we've seen in cinema lately, and I won't name any names, it's pretty much gone past the point of insanity in some corners. So I'm going to head on back to the late 20th century, to when Star Trek ruled the airwaves, several shows, and among the most popular was one called Deep Space Nine. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the history of Star Trek. That was the one about the space station. And there was a character there, played by a man who I think is one of the greatest actors we've seen in American cinema and even on stage. What I find most intriguing about this character, and as well as what millions of other people think about him, is how dark he can be and also how likable he can be. Of course, I'm speaking about the character on Deep Space Nine known as Garak. That was the Cardassian tailor slash spy slash many other things, played by the very talented actor Andrew J. Robinson, who is the author of today's book. First off, let me go into Mr. Robinson's history. He had a pretty hard upbringing. His father was killed in World War II when he was only 3. He grew up in my hometown, which I won't name, and hated it, just like I did, and went on to a very, very accomplished career in cinema. His first major role was in Dirty Harry. He played the Scorpio Killer, and that was the real crazy madman. That was his first role in film, and he took it all the way. It was a brilliant bit of cinema back in the day. He also was in other horror movies. He's been in all sorts of things. He played a character, the main character, in the movie Hellraiser. He didn't play the guy with all the pins in his head, but again, that's another thing entirely. He's a very talented man. Eventually, he landed the role of Garak in the TV series and proved to be the most popular character on that show. But aside from his acting talents, Mr. Robinson is a very accomplished director and an author, and the book we're talking about today is called A Stitch in Time. It is, for want of a better description, the autobiography of Mr. Garak, as told by the actor who played him, who flushed out that role amazingly, and it is one of the most fascinating bits of science fiction out there. So good that even people addicted to television will take up reading to read it. The book basically starts at the end of the TV series when Cardassia has been totally defeated and pretty much destroyed as a result of the Dominion Wars. And it also goes into him reminiscing about his early life, how he became a spy, a member of the Obsidian Order, it was called in the series. Also his philosophy and a lot of other things. How he became a tailor when he worked as a gardener. How he assassinated people. Now, my favorite episode out of that series was called By the Pale Moonlight. And it was an episode about how Garak was asked to help bring the Romulans into the Dominion War. And it is the darkest, most Machiavellian tale that ever came out of that franchise. It was so good that Gene Roddenberry would have hated it terribly and never allowed it to be filmed. That shows you how things have changed since the utopian beliefs that Mr. Roddenberry had. It was something that any modern geopolitician would appreciate. But it shows the thinking behind that character. Now, Mr. Robinson was an actor who said that he got into acting when he went to see a few plays in New York City, and he was shocked to see how little enthusiasm people put into the parts. He actually took up acting as a way of fighting off bullies. He wasn't that strong, so he would act totally insane and crazy and scare them away when he was attacked. I kid you not. But when he saw that stuff going on up on stage and thought that the actors weren't really there, he said, well, I could do better than that. And apparently he did. He's in his 80s now. I'm not aware of his health, but he's still doing voice work. And what's really a treat about this book is the audiobook. He narrates himself. One of the things about this book also is it demonstrates how the best science fiction is not something you're going to see, it's something you're going to imagine. I've recommended this book over the years to several people who were, for want of a better word, TV addicts, and after they read it, they started reading other science fiction novels, other wonderful books of imagination that are all about humans and human society and human conflict and human challenges, except played by extraterrestrials. It's a nice little book. It's a fun book. And with all the stuff that's coming out that people are recommending be read, including yours truly, that is dour and serious, and you got to take some time off and have some joy in your life. And this is a good way to do it. If you were a fan of Garak and his exploits in the Deep Space Nine series, you've got to read this. You just have to. It'll make you understand the character all that much more, and it'll make you understand the universe that he came out of. Again, the book is A Stitch in Time by Andrew J. Robinson. It originally came out in 2000 by Pocket Books, which is a part of Simon & Schuster. It's no longer in print. You can buy used copies, some of which are quite expensive, but it is available in Kindle. It is available in Audible, and it's also available on CD, so you can buy that and stick it in your car's CD player and listen to it on the road. Highly recommended. And if you know someone who's a fan of the series, who you want to get into the habit of reading instead of watching their science fiction, this is a great entryway into that realm. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share, and please consider a paid subscription. It keeps the lights on both literally and figuratively. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My address there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, keep reading and never judge a book by its movie. Good day.